The BBI train has stalled. Let's get more on what exactly is going on and what this means. Joining me now is the Jubilee Party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju. Thanks so much for being with us on NTV tonight. As Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, what was your immediate reaction to that BBI ruling?
Well, in some respects disappointing, but also in some respects I think it is an exhibition of the maturity of our democracy, that we can have a situation in which the courts can make their ruling. We respect, even if we don't agree. And then fortunately in this country we do have the possibility that we can appeal. So there are still two levels that we can deal with, where we can have the Court of Appeal to deal with it, or the Supreme Court deal with it, and of course the Court of Kenyan Opinion.
All right, now
the Court of Public Opinion, rather.
All right, President Uhuru Kenyatta had been very vocal as one of the main proponents in pushing for the support of the BBI. But since that ruling, we haven't heard from him. Why not? And when are we likely to, or when is he likely to break his silence?
Well, the president is the president of the whole country, and it's wise that he should listen to legal advice from his legal advisors before he talks about this, because when it comes to the courts, we have to navigate very carefully. But the judges who ruled on this matter and even insinuated that the president has no say on this matter, I would call it selective reading of our Constitution. Because in Article 10 of the Constitution, the president has the responsibility for national unity. That is his responsibility. And he has to work towards ensuring national unity. And I like to say, for example, that, this judicial activism has led to civil wars in other countries. And one of the countries where judicial activism of this type led to civil war is the United States of America. What is famously known as the ruling of, I think, Dred Scott versus Sandford. Those judges thought that they knew better than the statesmen who had brought some kind of agreement between the North and the South. The moment the judges ignored that, the tension in the country increased, and the country went to the worst civil war in the United States in the mid of 1980s or thereabout.
So what is it that you're implying in this
when you know that,
what is it that you're implying by saying
I'm getting a lot of echo. I'm getting a lot of echo. I don't know if I should remove one of the...
All right, you can try...
One of the earpieces.
You can try do that. And as you do that, I'll just repeat my question. By giving us that example of judicial activism in the US, what are you implying in the Kenyan context?
It's rather obvious. And in fact, after 2017 elections and about 2016, I remember activist Professor David D making some very passionate arguments for secession movement in this country. And in fact, after the elections in 2017, he made serious remarks, and several other people made very toxic remarks about dividing this country into two. Yet the president's responsibility is to do everything to keep the country together.
All right, just back to my first question. Are we likely to hear from the president himself at any point, or what might he be waiting for now?
I don't speak for him, as you know.
All right. Well, perhaps he has shared with you, but you're unable to share with us now. On the issue of judicial activism, of course, the judgment on the BBI was a landmark ruling that has far-reaching political ramifications and implementations. But we have lately seen a major tug of war and push and pull and disagreements between the judiciary and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Do you see this as a case of the judiciary hitting back at the president? Do you read malice into this ruling?
If you consider some of the things that were said during the ruling, it's a bit worrying. I mean, when I refer to the judges as honorable judges, and if I face judges at any time, as I've faced before, I refer to them as my lords. They were not courteous to the president.
All right, but they had valid concerns, and therefore they made this judgment. So is it a matter of basing this on the law or basing this on being courteous to President Uhuru Kenyatta?
They should base it on the law, and one of the laws that they ignored, or at least a constitutional premise that they ignored, is that it is the president's responsibility to bring national unity according to Article 10. And it is not prescribed how he should do it. So whether he does it by running across the country, or he does it through BBI, or he does it through any other actions of reconciliation across the political divide, it is his singular most important responsibility as president to keep this country together. And especially after we have the history of 2007 post-election violence, we have unfortunate cases like the death of baby Pendo. And when I see some political leaders celebrating this ruling, it's like they are dancing on the graves of the victims of post-election violence.
Are you referring to any political leaders in particular?
No, I'm just saying that those who are celebrating this, they are like dancing on the graves of those who have died during political violence in this country. This is not just a legal matter. This is a question of getting political settlements. And the BBI is part of that. What the courts should be doing is to be helping the process, not breaking the process.
Yet you say that you still respect the decision by the court.
Of course, we have to respect the decision of the court, but we cannot afford to fear the court.
So in the instance that perhaps these appeals that we're going to see during the week don't turn out in favor of the BBI, what then? How might the Jubilee Party take action?
That's hypothetical.
It's a valid question, though, because it will swing one way or the other. Do you have a game plan
but still,
if the BBI does not sail through? Are you confident, firstly, that it will?
It's still hypothetical. We'll cross the bridge when we get there, because there's still the Supreme Court.
All right, speaking about the bridge, at this point, do you reckon it's battered and bruised?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, as I told you, that one of the things that I celebrate about this kind of ruling is that it tests our institutions. If it was some of the failed African states, there'll be military vehicles on the roads of Nairobi. But we are mature enough. We were able to overcome the challenges of the Supreme Court ruling that nullified the elections in 2017. The president acted in a most mature manner, and he's being congratulated all over the world for the kind of response that he gave to this particular challenge.
What do you say to those who believe that the BBI was simply a ploy to hoodwink Raila Odinga, the other proponent behind the document, and that he's merely just being strung along?
There are always conspiracy theories, especially in the political arena. You'll get enough of that. It doesn't bother me.
Do you have a response to it?
Well, if it's nonsensical, you really don't need to respond to it, because there will be all kinds of hypothetical, issues and his conspiracy theories. I think that the president and former prime minister are very, very focused on this matter of bringing the country together. And it is important that we bring the country together. We can't afford to have this country break into pieces. The elections in 2017 and even the elections in 2013 and previous ones, you know, the divide is almost 50-50.
All right, you've spoken a lot about the country potentially falling back into chaos, but why do you think that? Why do you think that if things don't go one way, we might see military vehicles on the streets of Nairobi, as you said? What's the reason for that? No. Why do you think it'll get so dangerous?
No, I didn't say that. I just say that in non-democratic countries across Africa, if that sort of thing was to happen, then you'll see the vehicles on the streets from the military. But that is not something that we think of in this country in that respect. But let me just give you an example. I mean, 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 2, I was hosting MCAs from Baringo County. One of the MCAs could not cross from the northern part of Baringo to come to Nairobi through Nakuru because of the ethnic differences in that particular county. She had to go all the way past to Samburu, Nyahururu, then Gilgil, then Nairobi, and on the way back do exactly the same. We are a geographical phenomenon in that respect. We have many nationalities, many tribes, and the challenge we have is to forge a nationhood out of the very diverse nations that we have in this country, or tribes, if you like to call it that way.
But are you essentially saying that without the BBI, we don't have much hope? What
I'm saying is that we need a rapprochement across the political divide, and BBI was that political settlement. It was actually some sort of ceasefire, because before that particular handshake, if you can call it that way, some Kenyans were talking about secession. In fact, the loudest voice on secession was David Ndii. It is on record. On this media station, on Nation TV, it is on record how he was talking, how this country should be cut into pieces, like Shamba. And for people who are at the level of judges not to understand the dynamics and the challenges that we have and make rulings as if we're in a vacuum situation, they don't appreciate the challenges that we're having, then it's a little bit immature. I mean, the independence of the judicial being a fact to consider or not. But surely
the BBI is not the be-all and end-all. Without the document sailing through, we won't necessarily end up where you or others believe that we might end up.
We've had ethnic clashes after every election since the 1990s. It's now more than 30 years that has happened. In 2007, 1,300 people were killed. In 2013, we didn't have it. I think the memory of 2007 was still fresh. The matter of ICC was in the backdrop. In 2017, we had situations that an innocent child like baby Pendo died, and a few others.
All right.
Now, we cannot continue with that sort of political reality that has featured in the last 30 years.
All right, we will
and
also,
we should not.
Based on your comments earlier, no doubt we will give David Ndii that right to reply.
Oh, he has a right. He has a right to reply.
Correct. All right. Now there are plenty of concerns about the timelines, that the elections may not happen in 2022, or if they do, and if we head to a referendum, the referendum might take place at the same time. Can you shed some light on that?
No, I can't. That's the business of Parliament.
All right, that's fine. My final question to you is that many argue that the government is so focused on the BBI, an issue that many Kenyans countrywide perhaps don't even know about, perhaps don't care about because they have other pressing issues. Why do you reckon that Kenyans feel the government is focused on politics rather than the issues that touch their hearts on a day-to-day basis? For example, COVID-19 and the issues of the economy.
I think it's not the government which is focused on politics. It's the people of Kenya who are focused on politics, and our media organizations. I'm not shifting the blame. I'm not shifting. I'm just telling the reality. You know, just to talk about your media house, for example, if you allow me, I know I'm taking a risk here. The stories which sell for the media houses are the political stories. That's a reality that you cannot deny. So Kenyans love their politics.
But that's not a reason for the government to focus so much on politics rather than addressing issues that face the people of Kenya that are more pressing. Whether Kenyans love politics or not is one thing, but it's up to the government to do what's right for the people.
No, I think you are completely getting it wrong.
In what respect?
The government is focusing in respect that you, the media people, focus on politics. Government, in many cases, like right now, the schools have reopened in the face of COVID. If you look at the COVID response as far as this country is concerned, the story which you've just featured on COVID in Tanzania, I mean, our response to the issue of COVID is one of the best in the region, if not in Africa. I think we responded even better than the United States.
All right, I get you. So you're saying
when you look at if you look at the number of roads, if you look at the number, let me just finish it. If you look at the number of roads which have been tarmacked in this country in the last 10 years, it is more than the number of roads which were tarmacked in the previous 40 years. So really, government is really focused on development, but you'll not get a coverage of that because that is not selling your papers.
All right, I understand the point that you are making. Okay, well, something that no doubt we have the right to reply to as well, perhaps not from me.
Yes.
Final question. Actually, on the issue of disciplinary action, the committee at the Jubilee Party meets every Monday to deliberate on party issues. We have seen Mr. Mwaura lose his seat for apparently siding with UDA. Are we likely to see more people on the chopping board? Are you tolerating any of that?
First of all, the issue of chopping board is a bit extreme, eh? Let me tell you, we don't enjoy victimizing our members. We really would like to have a good relationship with them. We need more members. We don't want to throw away members. But when a member has decided that they're going to campaign for another party, the Political Parties Act itself does not allow that. It is illegal. They should lose their seats automatically. I think we've been extremely tolerant.
Okay, all right. I'm afraid...
Can I say one more thing? Can I say one more thing?
You may, briefly.
Yes, I mean, this whole issue of independence of the judiciary. I like members of the judiciary and even Parliament and the executive for that matter, that it is more mature to talk about interdependence. That is where the rest of the democracies are. That is where the rest of the world is at the moment. So every time you talk about independence, it's like my children when they were teenagers. Each time they're saying, Baba, I'm independent. I have to make my own decisions. In the afternoon, they ask for money to go to the mall.
All right. You just bring up one more issue. The NCCK today said that what needs to happen is that the president and the judiciary need to meet and discuss. There needs to be a dialogue. Is that a likelihood in your view, based on the situation?
Well, I like this country for one thing. You can make your suggestions, you can make your opinions known, and we welcome any opinions of any type. And then they can be evaluate it, and if it makes sense, then we can follow through. Nobody has got a monopoly of intelligence.
All right, well, let's hope
we are a little bit more humble. We're a little bit more humble than the judges who say, this is what it is, period. If you don't like it, too bad, period. They should also learn the word interdependence, because as soon as they finish the ruling, they need the policemen to escort them home as guards, as drivers, and so forth. The world is much more complicated. All right,
so many more questions, but not enough time. Thank you so much for joining us on NTV tonight, Raphael Tuju, the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. Much appreciated.